Hey everyone. Hope you're having a beautiful Sunday. It is so incredibly beautiful here in LA. Hey everybody. Nice to see you. Ooh, there is, oh, yes, I do. Come on in.
Hi, Unique.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good morning.
I'm so good. It's so nice to see you.
It's so nice to see you too. I just wanted to show you. Look what I just put in.
Oh, like a boss.
Yeah, I just started cooking beans and yeah, I don't have an Instapot, but it still works.
Yeah, you know what? I did years without an Instapot. I was actually scared of the Instapot because I
Yeah,
felt like, it was this weird kind of like machine, and I'm so used
right,
to doing everything just on my stove. And I
right.
bought the Instapot, and then it literally sat in my kitchen for 6 months.
You're like, what do I do now?
Yeah, and then I finally was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I followed the instructions, and I did look for like YouTube videos on how to cook beans in
Mm-hmm.
the Instapot,
Yeah.
and I followed the instructions, and I literally had mush in my Instapot. It was like, yeah.
Yeah, until I saw you make beans in 7 minutes, I had no idea what to use an Instapot for. And now I'm like, maybe I do need one.
Well, I think for the person, like for right now, cooking it on your stove is great because we all have more time on our hands, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think it does create a better tasting bean,
Okay.
um, you know. But I think for for normal life, like
Yeah.
when you're busy and going to work, like having that 7-minute bean situation, or
Mm-hmm.
8-minute bean, or even 20-minute bean if you're cooking them a lot longer for digestibility, is kind of a game changer. It's a game
Yeah,
changer where it's like, boom, it's done. And you don't
definitely.
have to worry about it burning because it goes directly to the warming stage. So,
Exactly. Yeah, that is really nice. Yeah. But I mean, I think it's also good for people to know that like this protocol is so affordable. Like you don't need any fancy tools, you don't need any supplements, like your prices are amazing. All you need is like your pasta pot and some beans or just a can of beans.
and some good chompers to chew.
Yeah.
Um, so where are you dialing in from today?
Yeah, so I live in Stuttgart, Germany. So we've always had our like 9 hour time difference for us, which is in Southwest Germany. So yeah, and I'm tuning in. Let's see. We've been working together for 3 months. So I've been on the protocol now for 3 months.
Awesome.
And I found
Amazing, by the way.
what?
You hit your first mitoses. Amazing.
Yes, I know. Yeah. So that's like the full mitosis means like the full one cell life cycle of your like hormonal cells.
And the endocrine system, yeah.
Endocrine system, exactly. Yeah. So I think like a lot of people, I found you via Lacey Phillips, her
Mhm.
expanded podcast from To Be Magnetic. And she had her interview with Karen Hurd. And the science behind the bean protocol just made so much sense to me. And I don't know, maybe you want to explain it really quickly now how the beans like bind to the bile.
Well, when I found Karen and read her book, it wasn't so much that the science made sense to me. I don't even know if that was a driving factor in my case. It was just like I hit the end of the road. I'm going to do beans, even though it seems like the most counterintuitive thing in the world to do. But yeah, so the science behind the beans, if you don't know and you're tuning in, is basically that the soluble fiber, which we're taught in school not to eat a lot of because it steals your fats from you because it binds with your fat. So they're like, don't eat a lot of soluble fiber with your meals because, it's going to bind up your fats. And and then Karen, using her amazing biochemistry masters and all of that stuff, was like, oh yeah, but if you don't eat it with fats, it's going to bind with your bile, and your bile is where you store all of your fat soluble toxins and hormones, etc. And so that basically gets recycled your whole life unless you're eating soluble fiber. So if you have excess hormones, and if you're a high adrenaline maker, and all of these different things, then you're basically just recycling that your life, right? And so
Right.
that can lead to the overproduction of hormones, because you have all these hormones circulating in your body that you just can't get out, right? Which leads to acne, which leads to cystic acne, which leads to autoimmune disorders, which leads to all of these different things that you don't know that you're just compounding over the years by not consuming soluble fiber. And most people are under the misconception that they just need fiber. I think that there was a time in the world where that was probably the case, that you could just get away with eating oatmeal. But I think Karen has said, like, you would need like 20 bowls of oatmeal or something to reach the soluble fiber, something crazy like that.
Impossible.
One serving of beans. So you get this incredible amount of soluble fiber that you just don't get from anything else except for psyllium husk, but then psyllium husk doesn't have all the nutrients that beans do. So
yeah, and that just made so much sense to me when I heard that. I mean, everybody's different and it'll click for them in different ways, but I heard that and I was like, okay, I get this and I get why it would work. And I was like, I want to try it. So and I think like what's different about me is I'm one of your only clients that there's nothing really chronically wrong with me. I don't have Crohn's, I don't have migraines. Yeah, I just had like a hormone imbalance and just wanted more vitality, but I didn't have anything like really wrong with me. And I just really wanted to try.
Just acne, right? Yeah.
Yeah, which is looking so much better. Yeah.
Awesome. So how do you feel?
I feel great right now. So like I said, I've been on the protocol for 3 months, and it started because I really wanted, we were looking at vitality, balancing my hormones, because I had a hormonal imbalance. I had estrogen dominance. My cortisol was just completely flatline. I had high DHEA, and my adrenals just like weren't working, of course, anymore. Yeah. So that was one of the main things. And then wanted to focus on vitality. I think like if anybody here is familiar with human design, like Unique and I are both manifesting generators, and these people have like, we have a lot of energy and we have like a lot of vitality, and I hadn't felt that for a few years, and I was like, I want to get that back and feel that energy again. So that was like a really big focus for us. And then something else that we talked about was I was overeating. So I was binge eating, and I think it was related to a lot of emotional things. So I was really like, let's take a look at that. I want to get that under control too. And then as like a side effect, maybe my weight will go down as well, because I wanted to maybe balance that out more.
And then what were you doing for the lack of energy before you started the Bean Protocol? How were you propping yourself up? Like what were you doing?
Lots of caffeine, of course. I had worked with a hormonal specialist before this, and was taking a lot of supplements. And although that helped my cycle, it never gave me the energy that I feel now. And then I think like a lot of us, I tried medical medium for the liver. And so that was kind of like got me started on this whole thing. And so before I met you, I was really like mostly vegan, almost. So we had to kind of look at those things and talk about what I needed to sort of nourish my body.
And how, like, when did you finally notice the shift, and how was going off caffeine for you, and dark chocolate and things like that?
Right. So, so then we started working together, which was like a breeze. It totally clicked. And the protocol you put me on was 1/4 cup of beans 5 times a day, which sounds like a lot, but it's really just like 2 or 3 tablespoons. So, and separating that from fats, so not eating that with fats. And then I didn't eat, we were doing no grains.
Because you wanted some weight, loss.
Yeah, to lose weight. And so that's kind of your angle when you want to lose weight as well. You say no grains, no sugar, no caffeine. I could still drink alcohol, which at the beginning of this protocol, I was drinking alcohol like 6 to 7 times a week, like a glass of wine, but it was regular.
And we were talking about like, because that was your time with your husband, and we were like,
right,
that's a nice thing to start weaning off of, but it was definitely the last thing to really go. Yeah,
exactly. You were like, you can still drink alcohol. And so, and so as I progressed, caffeine was hard because in the mornings, my colleagues at work, that when we were still working in February in the offices, they would like have their cup of coffee and it just smelled so good. And I was like, okay, I need to like just go for a walk quick or something. So that was hard. That took a couple weeks to get off of for sure. I'm still off
and then
caffeine.
and then after that, there's a couple of weeks where your body is readjusting because everybody's like, oh, coffee, it's good for you, and rah rah. But actually, when you go off coffee, that's when you really notice how your body responds, and it's like a 2-week lag time after you get off coffee.
Yeah.
And once the headaches are gone, your blood sugar levels are still kind of like rebalancing after that. So did you feel like after a couple of weeks, did you feel kind of a lower energy and everything?
Yeah, it definitely felt lower energy, and it took a long time before my body felt that natural energy again. And we've talked about this, and I think this is so important for people to understand, like the natural energy that I have now that just comes from inside of me is so much more powerful. It just feels like so much more like it really just feels like it just comes from the earth, and it's just so natural. Whereas I can tell when I drink coffee now, it's just like, it's like a high for sure, but it's not a comfortable feeling. And it's, I mean, you get energy and you can go, but it doesn't last.
No, it's literally, it shoots you up and drops you down versus the energy you get from eating well and not having an energy crutch is kind of it's amazing. To me, it's amazing. Right. It's a more steady energy that you start with a battery. For some people who are sick, you're starting your day with a half tank, right? Which is why they drink coffee, to try to like kick their tank up. But what happens when people go off coffee is they see where their body really is energy wise,
and what you can do.
Yeah, and what you can't do, and it's pretty for a lot of people. Seeing where their body really is without caffeine is intense. It's like, oh wait, without my caffeine, I actually function every single day on half a tank. So what I love about this protocol is over time is that people start to see where not only their tank is and respect it, but then notice as their tank starts to fill naturally, not from like a synthetic boost,
Yeah, definitely. So, so we started on the protocol, and it was easy for me at the beginning. I have to say, like, I like eating beans. I grew up eating a lot of different kinds of beans. And so also my body isn't really sensitive. Like maybe you or like Lacey talks about how her sensitivity is. So my friends would always joke, I was like the Tyrannosaurus Rex stomach. Like I could eat anything and be fine.
But you were having gut issues when we started.
Right. Exactly, which was so weird to me. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. We have to like figure that out. So when we started, I think what you mentioned is 90% of your clients have constipation, which is like a really high number. So I think I don't think people should ignore that if they're experiencing that, because it's such a critical issue to your health. I was lucky that I wasn't experiencing constipation. It was more just bloating and stomach aches. Yeah. And there's just so much information out there about what you should eat. Eat this, eat that. This worked for me. This didn't work for me. And it's just so overwhelming. And that's why working with you was so great, because you could really take a look at what I need and put on a protocol just for me. Yeah. And then working together and talking through it every week was just so helpful.
And each protocol I build is kind of a hybrid, because each person has a little bit different needs and what they want to eat. Like we created a protocol that was supportive of what you wanted, to eat, and how you wanted to live, and you wanted to get the energy again so that you could start going on walks and really like, And so the fact that you can like go on these long walks now to me is amazing, because I remember where we started, it was like just kind of dragging ass,
Yeah, I was scared to work out because they're like, don't work out if you have adrenal fatigue, like you're going to ruin everything. And so I would try to work out, but I wasn't that into it. And luckily with the coronavirus, I was able to stay at home more. For me, it worked out, and then go on more walks during the day. And now it just feels so natural. I can walk like 6 kilometers or 10 kilometers a day outside, and it really feels good. It's not like overwhelming my system or anything like that.
Awesome. And that's really important, because I want to say this to a lot of people. I work with a lot of people who have chronic fatigue. If you have chronic fatigue and you're waking up with half a battery, you should not be working out at all. You should be doing as quiet things as possible. If you, and for chronic fatigue, a lot of what happens is they start to feel good on this protocol, and then they start to use the battery up, and then they're flat on their ass for like a few days. So the hardest thing for humans to do is have that filling of the battery and then not using it, which is so important to healing adrenal fatigue. So it worked kind of to our benefit in the beginning that you were not working out, because it really gave your body some time to, you know, bounce back and replenish your natural energy source.
And I was glad you gave me like the permission slip not to work out, because I wanted to lose weight and I was like, I need to move my body. But you were like, no, you can't move your body right now. Like, it's just not the right time. And it will come back naturally. And it did. Yeah, it did, really did. So, so we started well. My gut was pretty much in check when we started. So that was okay. So we were really focusing on like the long-term 3-month, like hormonal balance. And it started okay. And then it got really hard in the middle. I remember one of our calls and I was just like, Unique, this is so hard. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, because you want all of the things, and you're you know, a little bit, for some people it can feel like a straitjacket, you know, like you've got, you know, you're playing in a smaller field. And I try to really say to them, like, reevaluate your relationship to food, because if what you've been doing isn't working, you have to be willing to adjust your perspective on it, and in the name of creating health, because, you know, it's hard. If you try to keep all of your creature comforts and create health, it's how we all end up on a ton of supplements, because we're constantly depleting our vitamin and mineral stores by drinking alcohol, by having caffeine, by all of our creature comforts. And yes, dark chocolate, I know the studies are so good for you, but it's still caffeine. Most females' nervous system is already kind of jacked, and then you're jacking it more on a regular basis. Even people who love their chocolate will kind of like quietly admit it to me. Like, I know I love it, but I know it kind of jacks me, you know? So having a calm source of energy is so important. Oh, somebody's asking if you lost weight in the last 3 months.
Yeah, and I want to get to that. So I'll kind of finish. So in the middle, it was really hard. And you were like, and I wasn't doing it because I had a chronic health issue. I was just like, I want to try this and balance my body out. And you were so encouraging. And so I really stuck with it. And it got like so much easier. I look back now and my days today are just like super easy. I'm like, okay, I just got to make beans, eat beans now. And it just like, it turned into such an easy habit so quickly. And I think we have to remember how like our bodies can quickly adapt in our minds. So for me, it was also a lot of like emotional eating, overeating, and that I was concerned about that when we started, and you weren't really concerned about, you were like, okay, yeah, we'll take a look at that. And I was like, why isn't she taking this more seriously? But you were like, that's going to balance out over time. Just do the protocol and you'll see that soon your eating will also just balance out. And it has.
Well, because what happens a lot of times, our overeating is a blood sugar imbalance, and drinking coffee and eating, you know, the things, caffeine will actually, and sugar will lead to that imbalance of sugar, you know, your blood sugar level. So a lot of times we're eating because we're anxious or bored or something like that. So it's bored, like as this protocol kind of sets in and your blood sugar starts to even out, you don't feel the sense of like, oh, I want to eat. Also, what happens in the course of working together is that we're having so many conversations about your goals that slowly what happens is your priority becomes your long-term goal versus short-term satisfaction, right?
Right, exactly.
And it's sneaky.
It is, and it really like puts it into perspective. So so things have gotten so much easier. Now we've hit the like almost exactly we've hit the 3-month mark. And really, I want to tell you this, I haven't told you this, I've lost like 10 pounds, which might not seem like a lot, and it's not about losing the weight, but just really in these last 2 weeks my body has adjusted, and I just wake up and there's just less weight on the scale. It just work. I just don't know how. It's just gone.
Well, because also when you have a hormonal imbalance and you're an overproducer, a lot of times your body in that state of fight or flight all the time, which again, I hate to beat up on coffee and dark chocolate and all that stuff, but it's putting your body into this kind of fight or flight state, which is a state of your body's kind of holding on. It's surviving versus thriving. So when you get rid of these crutches and you're removing the excess hormones, your body has an opportunity to go into parasympathetic and to this relaxed state that it can let go, right? So it's almost like it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's physical. There's so many layers to losing weight, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
When you're young, you can just starve yourself and stop eating and your body drops weight, right? But when you're older, it's like you're battling with kind of a whole different, you know, set of hormones.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't like want to do that, you know, you want to just do it like more, you know, holistically, if I can say that, or at least I do. So, and like, and I think it's really important. I heard Dara Dubonnet say this one time, like, food isn't the only thing, but it's the first thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a big, well,
It's
because
the
if you
first
think
thing.
about it, it's the biggest piece of information you're putting in your body all the time. Information. I love that people are calling food information, because the more we can make food less emotional, the healthier we're going to be. Because I think food is one of those things that our parents control when we grow up, or they don't. There's no control, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's in a world full of rules and regulations. Oftentimes, food is the only thing we can control. So there's this real connection to emotional connection to food. And I think what's beautiful about this kind of age of food as information is that you can start relating to your food as this incredible source of fuel. It's spiritual versus emotional. You know, it's this connection to the body and how you feel in your body, and do you feel at home in your body? And if you don't feel at home in your body, then it's starting to look at shifting the way you interact with your food as medicine versus emotional, you know, kind of like filling yourself, really.
Exactly. And that was like something so powerful to me, because like I said, but when I started this, I was basically like vegan. And then you were like, well, let's try and introduce animal proteins to really help your adrenals. And I was like, okay, and we can do that in a responsible a responsible way with like fish and eggs and, you know, like organic chicken and things like that. And so that was really helpful. And yeah, with the sugar thing there, I don't eat any fruits either. So, and
how do you feel about that at this point? Because it's a real sticking point for a lot of people who have fatigue, because they're so used to the energy from fruit that fruit gives them, that they're like, I feel horrible without fruit. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to pass in a couple of weeks, but it's hard emotionally and mentally, because, you know, how do you feel about it now?
I feel totally okay with it. It's like, I'm excited. Like the summer fruits are coming now. So I love stone fruits. So I'm definitely going to have like a peach and stuff this summer, and just like juiciness and taste the sun and stuff like that. And like you say, like balance for people who are healthy, and I'm getting there. And so I know, but at the beginning, fruits didn't really impact me that much. It was more like sugars and coffee and things like that. So
yeah, and a big thing, an important message, you know, that I have for all my clients is that create balance in your body and then create balance in your life. And I think so often eating fruit is kind of like, I wake up and I eat my fruit. And if you have an imbalance, then it's just kind of this, you know, you're putting your body behind the 8 ball all of the time. Fruit is wonderful. I want to make sure I say this out loud. It is wonderful. And it's incredible and amazing, locally sourced, organic, all of that stuff. I'm a big fan of eating. I myself eat locally and seasonally. That's how I do it. But have some fruit in the summertime when it's in season. It's really about like having some versus having it all the time and all the, you know, constantly. And you don't want to create imbalance, you know, by habits. You want to create vitality and health through balance.
Right. Yeah. And I can say, like, after just looking back on everything, it was like hard in the middle, but it was so worth it. And I have so much more energy now, like creative energy. I have so much energy, I don't know what to do with it. Like I just have to like go on these walks and like now I can stick so much energy into like building my business and like you know, spending time with like my husband and doing things in the garden and stuff like that. So it's really incredible.
Wow, that's a big energy shift for you. Like,
yeah, huge. It really is. Yeah, it's huge. Where before I just like I just didn't have the energy or the mind space to do things. And so it's so crazy that just by eating beans, like we did this. Like that's unbelievable.
Well, it's powerful. I mean,
it's
the
so
message
powerful.
out there of food as medicine is out there. But what I think the message is missing is how to regain your health so that you can have food as medicine, because so many people that I work with are so sick that you have to get to the place where you can eat, you know, like eating food as medicine isn't glamorous. Like, oh, you're going to eat all of these things and you're going to feel amazing. If you have a gut imbalance, if you have a hormonal imbalance, all of those things can be contributing factors. So it's like, it's hard to go back to simplicity to build your body up so that you can eat food as medicine and get to the place where you just feel great and you look great and you have no acne, which is amazing.
It's like, it's incredible. And my cycles are so much better. I haven't really had this sort of like balance throughout my cycle yet. And I know like to being up during like flare phases, like, but maybe before my period and things like that. But it's really just been like so much more of like a balance where I can really, go through the month like really smoothly. So that's been really great. And now I'm just like getting like my family on like the Bean protocol and everybody else, because I'm just like, people, like, it's legit.
I want everybody to be on the beans. I really do. I mean, I know that some people, based on what their health issues are, their beans are not part of the process at the moment, but they're incredible sources of nutrients and just health and vitality. And, you know, from going from beans, it's like chasing them around with a pitchfork and pushing them off your plate, to now it's like, I wake up and have a bowl full of, you know, half a cup of beans, don't eat a bowl full, half a cup of beans, you know, and I mean,
I'm that girl with like a bean snack in her purse, like when we're out and about. I'm like,
that's called winning. My boss and I used to joke that we needed to create like a really fancy bean pouch that you could just like, you know, like instead of like the fanny pack, the bean pouch. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I just really, what?
Go.
Let's see. Somebody just asked what kinds of beans, and I've been eating all kinds of beans. Like I said, I'm not very sensitive to things, and so I've just had, you know, pinto beans, whatever, black beans, white beans, cannelli beans, whatever is like available, chickpeas, those kind of things. So that's been going really well, and it was good that we also did the grain-free thing, because we found out the reason that I was having so many stomach problems like a year ago is because I have a gluten allergy, which was really surprising. So, so that was good. We did grain-free, and now I know I have more information about that, which is really good.
Yeah, I like to, I mean, things that you're sensitive to, it's nice to pull out, just because there's no need to challenge your body. Like, that's an important point for me. It's like, if you don't like something, you know, take it out for a little while, or in your case, forever. Canned beans, rinsed, are okay to start. Actually, the Eden brand is a really great brand if you're looking for a canned bean.
You can start with any canned beans and just make sure they're rinsed and just go for it.
I used to eat super ratchet, but when I was working as an EP, I was constantly in my car and traveling, and a lot of times I would land in a location and I would go to the local health food store and I'd pick up boxed or canned beans, and a can opener, and then literally stick a spoon in it and eat it out of my car. And I was like, it's I gotta get these beans in, you know, in between like locations, what have you.
That's hysterical. I love that.
It was super ratchet, but it did the job. But what was funny, and the reason why I do recommend that ultimately people start to eat fresh beans if they can, is because I get blood test often, you know, and my blood came back with a high level of tin in it, and I was like,
that's great. You were like, oh, maybe I should not eat the canned beans anymore.
Well, ratchet.
Yeah. Oh man. But I just want to like encourage, that's a quarter of a cup cooked beans. Yeah, definitely. So I just want to tell anybody that is watching that it's just so worth it to work with Unique. Her prices are so reasonable. All you need is like a can of beans or a pasta pot to cook your dried beans at home. You don't need any supplements. You don't have to give money, like spend a lot of money on anything like that. And you can buy like any brand of bean to get started. I'm in Germany, so I don't have access to the Eden beans, but you know, whatever you have, you can get started and like just get on this path to health. It's really easy.
Yeah, and even if you don't have the money to work with me, just incorporate beans super slow. You know, I'm a big fan of listening to your body. Don't do something just because somebody's eating a quarter cup of beans 3 times a day or a half a cup 3 times a day. Like, start with a couple tablespoons and just see how you let your body adjust. You might get bloated. You might get gassy. It's par for the course. Your microbes are fermenting, the fibers of the beans and stuff like that. It's all part of the natural process. So many people stop eating beans because of the beginning phases of adjusting. Just keep going and keep going slow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Somebody just asked. My protocol was I had a quarter cup of beans 5 times a day. And so that's how I started. But everybody's different. You put people on different protocols. So
yeah. For different reasons. And, at some point when you feel ready, you'll send me a note and we'll switch yours on to the longevity plan. When you feel like cycles are totally balanced, just let me know. We'll switch that up for you. Awesome. Thank you. Do you have anything else you want to tell anybody or?
No, just hi to my friends and family that are watching.
Yeah, by the way, you rocked it. You went all in with me. You committed to the process.
Thanks.
I think a lot of times people are trying to go in 80% and they're getting 80% results. And some people can get away with it. Like some people can get away with, and I just want to say this out loud because some people can always get away with 80% and their body just really responds. For most people though, it's going in 100% and just giving yourself to the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
definitely.
you really did that. So nice.
Thanks. It was easy to do with you. So.
Oh, I'm sending you a big
Okay. Thank you so much, Judy. It was so great to see you.
So great to see you too.
All right. Talk to you later.
Have a good night. It's 7 o'clock there, right?
Yeah, 7:30. So we're going to have some beans now for dinner.
All right. You go have some beans.
Okay.
Bye.